The following podcast is part of the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. For advertising information or to find more great podcasts, visit us at www.theunderdogsports.com and follow us on Twitter at RealTheUnderdog.
Okay. Well, just for the record, we got the Sunny in Phoenix too. 52.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunny in Phoenix podcast, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. My name is Charlie Erling, and as always, I'm joined by Mitch Krmpotich.
I don't know about you, but I feel good.
I don't know about you, but I feel good.
That's right. On this week's episode, we'll be talking about the newest Phoenix Sun, Bradley Beal, and how he'll fit in with the team. After that, we'll talk a little bit about where his trade partner, Chris Paul, ended up. And then after that, we'll talk about another new Sun, Toumani Camara, the second-round pick the Suns made in this draft.
Shoutouts are not in order for this week because we didn't have a bad question since it's the off season. But shout out to everyone who listens. Thank you. And follow us on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod. I haven't been real active on Twitter because I don't really like Twitter. But you can follow us, and sometimes I tweet. But if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah, it's just fine.
It's like the worst social media plug of all time, but like it's just the reality. And I think sometimes, right, like, subscribe, all of that. We're Sunny and PHX Podcast on YouTube. Like, you can find us there, but like, I'm not upset if you don't. Like, I'm real about it, and I think people appreciate that sometimes.
Smash that download button on your podcast app.
Yeah.
There we go. I got that out of my system.
If we had an advertiser, they probably wouldn't like this.
But guess what? No ads on the Sunny and PHX podcast. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, you better check you're on the ad-free Patreon version. Or not. Usually, I mean, we're usually running the whole gamut of ads. You know, if you're not on the Patreon, it's, you know, we're running all the classics, the stamps.com, the Headspace, the
Blue Chew.
We don't talk about them. The HelloFresh, whatnot. We're running all that. It's mostly ads, actually. If you're not on the Patreon, we're running, 45 minutes of ads, 15 minutes of actual.
Yeah.
To use a term I despise, content.
We're similar to an NFL football game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how I would describe this podcast. We're the NFL football game of the Phoenix Suns podcast landscape, which is more saturated than you would realize. Anyway.
Shall we now?
I suppose.
Oh, that's good. All right. So Bradley Beal to the Suns in a trade where the Wizards get Chris Paul, and now that Monty Williams is gone, Landry Shamet's out of here too, as well as 6 second-round picks and 4 first-round pick swaps. And in exchange, we're bringing back in Bradley Beal, Jordan Goodwin, and Isaiah Todd. And obviously the most important part about this is Bradley Beal. We're getting another one of the better scorers in this league over the last 5 years or longer. A guy who's won a scoring championship. Add him to the roster next to Devin Booker and Kevin Durant.
Yeah. I think it's just awesome. This is great. I just want to be purely positive about this for a second. This is incredible. Bradley Beal may be the best third option ever.
It's tough to wrap your head around it, really. Chris Paul obviously brought a ton to this team, but it's a very different type of thing. And honestly, that's not something that is really killing it in the NBA anymore. A playmaking point guard that's 6 feet tall and can hit elbow jumpers. I mean, we're past that in the NBA, and we're ushering in something a little new here where we have scoring coming out of our ears. We might not be playing a true point guard much, but we've seen plenty of Devin Booker taking care of the ball in playoff situations, even as the point guard. And it seems like going in like this, we're very confident in that situation. Him or Beal running the primary playmaker responsibilities, it'll work. It's going to work.
Yes, it's okay. I am not trying to toot my own horn here, but if you've been listening to this show for a long time, I've been saying this for years. Positionless basketball. I don't care who dribbles the ball up the court. These guys will get it into they'll get into their sets. They'll run their plays. It doesn't matter who's doing it. KD's probably going to do it a bunch as well. So, like, I don't care if we don't have a primary point guard. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that either. And some people will say that might be Jordan Goodwin, a guy we got in this trade that everyone seems like, wow, we're getting him too, is the overall sentiment. And this guy can hoop too. And I'm not saying he's going to be a starter by any means, but he'll be getting minutes, I think. So we're still this trade did a lot to even balance us out a bit. We're getting youth, we're getting cheap contracts. Like Isaiah Todd, I don't expect him to play much this year, but guess what? He's a body that's making a very cheap contract that will benefit financially, roster construction-wise, all that stuff. It's all good.
Right. Here's my thing. So this is the criticism. And this, I know people who said directly to me, wow, this doesn't do anything for the Suns. And their main points of criticism are the Suns have no defense and no depth. And I'm like, that was our exact issue last year. And now we have Bradley Beal too. Like, our problems from last year remain. I get that. But now we add Bradley Beal. And this is a team that took the Nuggets, who looked unbelievable. I mean, they won the finals in 5 games. That doesn't always happen. I know it was the Heat, but usually those series go 6 or 7. The Nuggets destroyed all throughout the playoffs. We were the only team to take them more than 5 games. And now we add Bradley Beal. How can you not be pumped about this?
Right. And just thinking about once we got Kevin Durant and we saw the team sort of fall into get into swing of how it was going to be looking for the rest of the year. How often guys would be so wide open for threes? Even like in the playoffs when Chris Paul was out, it was still happening where Devin Booker or Kevin Durant would be literally wide open and just hit an easy three. Now Bradley Beal's another one of those guys who's going to be out there rather than like Landry Shamet in the corner, you know?
Right.
It's a huge upgrade. And was it some idiot, Bill Simmons-esque idiot?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Said the Suns wouldn't have beat the Nuggets if they had Bradley Beal instead of Landry Shamet.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, the Nuggets did handle us in a couple games that series. I won't lie about that, but that's just an ignorant comment to make. I'd say Jokic, it's an entirely different series. Yes. Entirely, yeah, it's completely different if that's the case.
I'm going to say something probably just as bold. Jokic could score 100 points in every single one of those games, and if we had Beal instead of Shamet, we would still win by 20.
That is bold.
Write that bold. Down.
I like it. I do like it, but you know, I just don't see the negatives coming from this aside from Chris Paul's pure point guard abilities. And don't get me wrong, we're going to be missing Chris Paul in some aspects of the game.
That's true.
We will miss him, but I think Bradley Beal is that much better of an all-around player at this point in time that it's not going to hurt us overall at all.
Yeah, I mean, we'll miss Chris Paul's pure point guard ability, of course, his leadership, basically having another coach on the floor.
Right.
Those are things that we will miss. But again, Bradley Beal is still an upgrade. We saw how much Chris Paul slowed down. We also saw how much money he was going to be making. And now I know Bradley Beal, I mean, he basically swindled the Wizards a year ago.
Yeah.
Or was that a year ago when he signed that insane contract? Whenever that was. A year ago, I think. I know he's making a lot of money too, but he's producing a lot more for that money. So we saw all of that stuff, and it's like, yeah, of course you want Bradley Beal. I can't think of anyone who would say, no, I want Chris Paul instead of Bradley Beal straight up. No one would say that.
No, it's really crazy that, I mean, Bradley Beal got traded for, and they didn't even get a real first round pick out of the deal for Bradley Beal.
That is unbelievable.
They got the 4 first round swaps with us, but I mean, I will talk some smack about the Wizards right here. Are they going to ever be better than us by 2030?
No.
I don't know. If Devin Booker's still on the team, I don't see the Wizards being better than us.
The Wizards are trying to build from the ground up. That takes a long time. I think teams, this is kind of my theory. Teams are looking at what Oklahoma City is doing and seeing how they have actually had some success kind of quickly. That is so much an outlier. If you look at the Suns are a great example. We had to blow it up. I mean, we basically have been working since 2010 to get to the point where we're at. It took 11 years for the Suns. That might be on the long side, but still, like, I would lean a little bit more towards that if you're going to blow everything up.
I'm still shocked it happened.
Yeah, I am too.
And I'm more speechless about Chris Paul going to the Warriors, though. I think I want to talk about that right now. So They were able to flip Chris Paul right to Golden State. They bring in Jordan Poole, some other pieces. I don't even recall if it was much more than Poole. Nothing fancy, at least. I don't have it off the top of my head. Maybe a first out of that. I don't know. But Chris Paul on the Warriors, we remember the video of Chris Paul when he was on the Rockets and Steve Kerr's telling him a joke or something. And Chris Paul turns his back to Steve Kerr and just gives this disgusted look.
Yeah.
He's kind of laughing about it and then turns his back and just looks so mad about it. It's funny. And then there's reports that the Warriors were yelling F Chris Paul after they eliminated the Rockets one year or something like that. It just seems awfully funny to me that Chris Paul is either going to share the court with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson or be Steph Curry's backup. I don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a sign of the Warriors just deteriorating.
Like, was that the only way to get rid of the giant Jordan Poole contract, was to trade for Chris?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, that was kind of a shock to me.
I almost, and apparently the Warriors were reaching out to us to have us take on Poole in a trade before we sent him to the Wizards. And we obviously turned that down and said, no, we'll take Bradley Beal instead.
You know what we probably said? Oh, yeah, for Steph and Klay, we'll give Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And I guess you could have Landry Shamet and 4 first-round pick swaps and 6 second-round picks. That's fine.
Sure. I'm really wanting to see how that all works out. But in the back of my head, it almost feels like they have some sort of plan. You know, do they think that they can maybe flip Chris for a couple more assets down the line? But the fact that they were trying to get Poole off the books in the first place makes me kind of doubt it. I don't know. It seems like that's not going to be great.
No, I agree. I don't think it will be anything special.
unless they get Chris Paul to sit out till April while staying in basketball shape and then just unleash him when it's winning time.
And he'll still get hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll still happen.
I'm glad. Okay, thank you to Chris Paul for everything you did. He was massive. Yes. He was so important. We have to preface this. I'm glad I don't have to defend him anymore when he gets hurt in the playoffs. It happens every single year.
It does. It does. It really does. And I don't want to act like Chris Paul wasn't anything great for us by any means.
No, he was huge. He was amazing for us.
But here towards the end, I think he was bringing the Patrick Beverley traffic cone meme to life. Yeah, I think he was really starting to get beat down on defense and picked on, and it's tough for him to guard anyone over 6'5" who's a little bit athletic. It's tough, but he'll still rip a few steals a game because he's just got the IQ to do it. But he can't stop someone taking him to the rim often. That's not going to happen, and in the playoffs, that's where you get killed. We saw it happen a little bit, so pre-injury.
Right. No, you're exactly right. I mean, the other thing is just style. Book and KD need to be able to play fast. I mean, when they were operating in transition, it was a thing of beauty, and I think the rest of the game kind of depends on that. And Chris Paul is just the antithesis of that.
Yes.
So I think that's a big part of this. I am pumped to see what our offense looks like. We might score 50 fast break points in some games.
Man, I'm just thinking about how Monty's offense was 0.5 before Chris Paul got here, and then absolutely everything changed.
Yes.
And then now we bring in Kevin Durant. I'd say Kevin Durant and Devin Booker might be the two most coachable stars or superstars in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want to listen to a coach. And I think they were listening to Chris Paul on the court for D-Book and Ayton primarily here. I think they were having to listen to Chris Paul on the court, and Monty was maybe delivering something there, but I think it was Chris's team when Chris was on the court.
Yeah.
So what I am excited for is letting our two studs get coached. We have 3 studs now.
I was going to say, you mean 3?
Our 3 studs get coached up by an experienced coach. And then I want DeAndre Ayton to turn into a defensive beast by said experienced coach, who can do that apparently. I still think we're cooking, man. We still have a roster to fill out, though.
Yes, that's true.
I will say I mentioned him earlier, and I don't know enough about his game to go in too deep, but it does seem like Jordan Goodwin can be an option to be running point guard for minutes for us at some point. And we also have, I believe it is we can guarantee Cameron Payne's contract by a certain date. I believe it's the 29th, so in a few days here. And he's an option to keep around too. So there are 2 legitimate point guards for depth purposes that we can retain.
I don't know a ton about Goodwin, and I am very, very, very low on Payne. But I think we have to keep Payne around. I think we have to do whatever we can to just get this roster, somewhat serviceable. If there's any point ever where one of our stars isn't on the court, which I highly doubt will happen very often. Here's the thing I think about. So if we're looking at the starters, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Ayton, you or I could play the other spot and we'd be fine, right?
I'd be good for a few minutes, before I got gassed out. But
exactly. I mean, any of our listeners could be the 5th starter, and it would be fine. Now, it's outside of those 4, though, that becomes the issue. And we saw how having 0 bench production was a problem. And if one of our stars has an off game, like how KD had an off game, he had a couple off games in the Nuggets series, I do think we need someone who can step up off the bench somewhat regularly. And I don't really know that we have that guy on the roster right now.
I don't think so either. I think we have plenty of rotation pieces / glue pieces who work well with studs out on the court, but I don't think there's the guy who can just go out there and get buckets on the bench. It feels like none of the guys on the roster from last year who we might have a cap hold on or whatever, I don't think the answer is there. So it does seem like that is a piece that I think we're missing. And it's crazy. I'm not subscribing to this, but at one point a couple of years ago, that could have been Cameron Payne. At Cameron Payne's peak, he could have, that kind of Cameron Payne would be an excellent point guard off the bench for a lot of NBA teams.
Right.
But I don't think we can count on that. And it's got to come from outside, and I don't know how that's going to happen.
I can't believe Cam Payne hasn't hooked up with Leandro Barbosa yet. I just feel like Barbosa could just teach him how to be him, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually, as you were describing that player, I'm like, that's Cam Payne from the 21 season, basically.
Right.
If we could have 21 Cam Payne. And I feel bad for Cam Payne because it really seems like his injury issues just slowed him way down. And, his confidence took a hit and he just hasn't been the same player. So it's really a shame because he's got a great story. But yeah, I don't think that player right now is Cam Payne, but at one point it probably was. And yeah, someone like that who's a 2021 Cam Payne or a Leandro Barbosa type doesn't have to be super, super consistent, but can go out and drop 20 every so often would be great.
Yeah, that's what I think Monty thought Landry Shamet was going to be.
Yeah.
But it did not pan out.
He dropped 20 one time last season.
He had one really sick playoff game. I think he scored 10 or 12 straight points. And
that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Pretty exciting.
And that was his only good game all year.
And that's it. That's it. But yeah, I think aside from the guys that we have cap holds on that we have a chance to retain, there's got to be someone else. And I'm not well versed enough in the the mid-level or the biannual exception. I'm not 100% sure on this, but it looks like we should have those available.
Okay.
I don't believe they can be combined. No, they can't be combined. So we can, it looks like a $5 million taxpayer MLE.
Okay.
And then maybe a $4.5 million biannual. I'm not sure though.
And now this is where I have to I have to put this out there. I don't fully understand this. It's very complicated stuff, but I do know that to a certain degree there was a reason why the Bradley Beal trade happened when it did. I believe the timing of it allowed us to have those MLE options available. There's something about some new
the new CBA that's going to be changing a lot of things on the 1st or whatever.
Yes. So I think since we did it before, I guess it was July 1st. Since it happened before then, we are still under those old rules, which affects these tax aprons and luxury tax and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I think that's part of why this happened when it did. The other thing I want to say is, and I mean this in the best way possible, we have an owner who is very rich and very unstable. And he is spending a lot of money. And it is, I feel like the Yankees right now.
Yeah. Yeah, keep it going, man. We're all behind you.
He is not afraid to spend money.
Matt, if you're listening, I got 5 on it. Like, I'll chip in, man. I think a lot of us will chip in a few if you keep on doing this crazy stuff and it wins a title.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and we can do it by going to games.
That's right. And I'd say it has to be a lot easier for the conscience fan to go to a Suns game now to support the team now that Sarver's out too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, go, eat, drink, be merry, go to Suns games. It's all good now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the money's going into the right pocket now.
Right. Well, I mean,
maybe.
Yeah. It's better than before, for sure.
All right.
I have a problem just in general with the concept of billionaires, but we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, that's for the actual Patreon show.
Yeah, exactly. That's for our other podcast, The Ethics of Money. Find us on. No, just kidding. We don't have that. But yeah, Ishbia is not afraid to spend, and I don't think we're done. Like, there's times where, I read this. I don't fully understand, but I try to get a little bit more information on how does all of this stuff work. And I'll get to a point where I'm like, well, I guess we're just done. Like, there can't be any more money spent. And then all of a sudden there's this report that comes out, oh, we're signing it, or like, oh, the Suns could do this with this exception, or by doing this or that or the other. And I'm like, okay, and Matt Ishbia will figure it out. Like, he is not afraid to spend money.
Yep. I'm excited for this season. A lot more than I was, a couple weeks post playoff elimination when you're feeling down in the dumps. I was not looking forward to the off season, but now it's been popping off and I'm excited.
They say the off season is the most exciting part of the NBA.
Yeah.
And, it really is a lot of the time. This move was huge.
I think every year at this time we talk about how the NBA is so close to becoming a year-round league.
It really is.
I mean, summer league's in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We're almost ready to watch some more b-ball, so that's good news overall.
Well, I mean, it hit me because at time of recording, we're 2 weeks out from when we'd be going to summer league. And you said, you're like, oh, that would be in 2 weeks. And I was like, no, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would. July 1st is 1 week from today at time of recording. So summer league is 2 weeks from now.
Exactly.
We just had the draft recently. We're going to get into that in a second. Free agency starts July 1st, which is fireworks nonstop. Then, we get August off. September, we get training camp, and preseason games don't usually start and that early, but little training camp. So August and September are basically the only off months.
Yeah.
Just in time for the NFL to start.
Yeah. And I've actually started watching a few baseball games lately.
I've watched baseball out the wazoo.
I know you have, and it's got me in on it too. I've watched a few lately, so.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about we're on the Vegas track right now. Let's talk about a guy who will likely be playing for the Summer Suns. Our newest draft pick, Toumani Camara. So we drafted. I'm not going to act like I know everything about this guy, but I will say this just from a, like a front office standpoint, or even on the court. We got a 23-year-old guy, not an 18 or 19-year-old kid. He played 4 or 5 years of college. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I feel like there was something weird in there when I was looking at his box scores, but we'll say 4 because that makes more sense. You can play 5 now somehow, right?
You can. It's based on like transfer stuff. If you're like a grad transfer, or if you have an injury or something like that, that can happen as well.
Okay.
You get another year of eligibility.
Either way, this guy's put in his dues in the college game. 23 years old, pro-ready body, and he's aggressive. What more do you want out of a second-round pick than that? A guy who can compete right away, match up physically with some guys out on the court. And he's a bit of a jack of all trades too. Not great at one single thing. I'd say if anything, he'd be defense, but he has a little bit of everything in his bag. So I'm content with the pick. I don't know what would have been better, but it seems like this is a good roster fit. So overall, I'm excited to see how this guy can fit in.
Yeah, he played 2 years at Georgia, then transferred to Dayton, played 2 years there. So 4 total years.
Okay.
I wonder. No, this was after that. You used to have to sit a year after transferring, but you don't have to anymore. So, but it was all consecutive. Yeah, I agree though. This is the kind of guy that you want in the second round. Though I will say, Toumani Camara is the prototype of someone James Jones would take with the 10 pick.
It's the second coming of Jalen Smith, but we got him 42 picks later.
Right, exactly. I'm telling you, we could have picked Jalen Smith at 52 back in the day, and we would have been thrilled with that. But yeah.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
Camara, over his college career, averages 11 points per game. Rebounds, 6.9 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists. 1 block, 1 steal, 0.8 blocks. And his free throw percentage overall in college was 63.1%. Not amazing. 3-point percentage, 30.7. His overall shooting percentage in college was 57.3%. Though it looks like his last year at Dayton, he really improved quite a bit. 13.9 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.8 blocks. He shot 66.9% from the free throw line, 36.3% from 3, and 60.6% from 2. So that's pretty good. 54.6% from the floor total. We'll take that. That's not bad. And yeah, big body, aggressive, like you said. I really don't mind this at all at 52.
No, and you see that 36% from 3 last year, and you think maybe he can, stick himself in a corner and knock those down every once in a while, and that's becoming more and more necessary for a power forward type role nowadays.
Oh yeah,
you got to have a little bit of that perimeter skill, and maybe he doesn't have that at this point. Who knows what he can add due to the fact he's 23, but still, if you get him in the right system, you get him a good development coach, maybe he turns into something a little bit more. But again, I've seen a lot of people get so excited about this pick, and I'm happy for this pick, but just calm yourselves down. It was a pick in the 50s. He might not get a ton better than what we've seen him play as a senior in college, but maybe he's ready right now a little bit.
Yeah. His per 40 numbers are pretty good. 18.6 points, 11.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, but 2.8 turnovers. That ratio is not good, but whatever. Yeah, per 40s aren't bad. So maybe people are looking at that, getting excited. But yeah, I mean, I don't expect him to play very often, mostly, blowout games, but might as well do something. We have the pick here. I gotta say this too. What an awful display from ESPN with this draft. They kept telling us this pick was traded to the Wizards.
Right.
It wasn't. And when I'm looking for his stats, I just searched Toumani Camara stats. It says he plays for the Wizards on ESPN's website. He doesn't. Yes, it says he's a player for the Wizards in the NBA.
That
on
is crazy.
ESPN, like their regular stat page. Just painful.
Well, it was a mystery at the time, though, too, because even Sharania tweeted the Wizards end up with Toumani, but then deleted it just like less than a minute later. So he must have finally realized, it is the Suns pick. Yeah. If you guys are the ones reporting this to all of us, it'd be nice if you actually remembered or knew.
Right.
And I mean, it was the one pick that we didn't give up.
Right.
It was all of them but this one.
And we have to give yet another shout out to Gambo, John Gambadoro,
Yep.
98.7 FM. He's been spot on a lot of this stuff lately. And he kind of came out and said, I don't see why people thought this was the Wizards' pick ever. It's always been the Suns' pick.
Right. I mean, even Woj with the original tweet did not have 2023 second in there.
Right.
So what changed, man? And you know what? I'm not going to call him Gumbo anymore. I'm going to call him Gambo.
I'm done. Gambo, like, even if we have maybe not been the nicest to him at times and said that his only source is Robert Sarver, well, got to eat our words. We apologize for that one. Gambo has been awesome.
Yeah. We were wrong. Gambo was and is right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and nice guy. I actually I didn't personally run into him, but I saw someone wanted to take a picture with him at this baseball game. He was there, and I recognized him. I didn't say anything. And this fan wanted to take a picture, and he was really nice, and he was talking to the guy, and I'm like, Gambo's a nice guy.
Oh, I got it. I got to say it. We've been building him up, but was he faking the New York accent, or does he carry it in his regular life too?
Well, that's the question. I don't know.
Had to do it. Sorry, Gambo.
We can't all be perfect. Yeah. Yeah. No, but overall, very happy with his reporting lately.
Oh, yeah.
And that reminds me, too. He's been saying all along, the Suns aren't trading Ayton.
Right.
Or he hasn't been saying it that clearly. He's been saying more like it's very unlikely the Suns will trade Ayton.
Right. And it does seem like the Bradley Beal trade, Bradley Beal only wanted to go to Phoenix if Phoenix was keeping Ayton. And then you have to ask yourself, is it because he wants Ayton, or does he want the assets that Ayton will bring back compared to what, Landry Shamet would have?
Right.
So
yeah, that's the question.
Or even Chris. It's interesting.
It is, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful about Ayton, given that Frank Vogel's coming in, or adding Bradley. Like, I think it's going to be nice. And Ayton's still good. That's the thing. He's still good. I was actually talking to someone the other day, coworker of mine, brought up a very interesting point that I had never considered. We know that Ayton is from the Bahamas, right? Mm-hmm. This coworker of mine said he's been to the Bahamas, and I don't know if it didn't sound like it was just like a resort. I think he had spent some time there. He said the culture tends to be very laid back, and there's a lot of places like this. Yeah. Laid back, take things slow, which I think we could actually learn a lot from that, because we don't really live that way here in the U.S. But Ayton also was probably always the best at everything he did, being his size and those kind of things. And we see this actually fairly often from certain guys, where they just have never really been challenged too much in their lives because they've always been the best. You and I actually, as taller than average people, probably experienced this at one point. I remember when I got to like 8th grade, all of a sudden people were catching up to my height, and I had to learn to jump for the first time to like get a rebound. So like Ayton is just that, but like on a way higher scale, way higher level. So when you factor all that in, the cultural piece, the fact that he probably hadn't been challenged too much until getting to the NBA, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's all really good stuff. And even more of a reason why him getting a change of scenery without actually having to trade him could be really good. I mean, I hope maybe, he gets out of the little funk that he was in, or whatever you want to call that. The new regime has a different effect on him. And I want to say, I don't think we've seen D Book and Ayton get into a little on the court back and forth before, but I feel like Kevin Durant, I feel like Durant loves Ayton. And he feeds them all the time. And that was what I caught from their minutes together this year. I think Ayton might be a different guy this year. And yeah, call me a homer if you want right now, but I'm still in on Ayton. I'm willing to give him 1 or 2 more years. And if he's untradeable by then we could admit that I really messed up with my judgment here, but I still think there's plenty of time.
Right. And it's not to say he doesn't ever work hard or anything like that. He does work hard. And I want to think that last year was more of a fluke than anything.
We can hope that.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I'm with you. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. And here, let's just end this segment with this. We briefly touched on it, but we're going back to Vegas this year more than likely.
Yeah.
We're doing a quick trip, but it's been a while since both of us. Well, since I've been there, you've made it a couple times without me, I believe.
I think just once.
Once? Okay. I thought it might have been twice, but
no, because we didn't go last year because that was right when my daughter was born.
Okay, yeah.
She was born a couple weeks after summer league, but it was the year before we did go. So it was just the one time, but yeah, it'll be nice to be back there together again, and and we really just run the town when we're there. So
they know when we show up,
Yeah, there's a whole shift in the vibe, as they're saying nowadays. Like it's pretty apparent when we're there. So yeah, if you're in Vegas and all of a sudden somewhere around July 8th, you feel just like a physical, mental, spiritual shift, you'll know why. It's not like that at all. But.
No, it is not. If you feel anything, it'll be anger radiating from me after I lose a couple $100 gambling. That's about all.
But you win all the time. I'm not going to say you're the luckiest. I didn't want to
brag, but I do get nasty on slot machines.
You do. I would say you're the luckiest person I know, but you're not. That's Josh. Josh is the luckiest person. Okay, I got to bring this up. So, friend of the show, Josh Cranwin, at Josh Cran on Twitter, he goes to Colorado for a wedding. Sports betting is legal in Colorado, so he gets in on it. He decides he's going to tour Coors Field while he's there. The Angels are in town playing the Rockies, and he said, you know what? I'm going to put some money down. And I forget how much he put down, but he bet that both Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout would hit home runs. And they did it in back-to-back at-bats. And Josh won $1,000.
That's how you do it, too. You don't even have to wait around. Just pow, pow.
Right.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable. And he's got many stories like that. So.
And I have to say something, too. I have hit a few decent slot machines in front of you in Vegas.
You have. Yes, you have.
But the only place I'm ever lucky is Las Vegas, which is, a good place to be lucky.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I would honestly consider myself an unlucky person.
I just mean when it comes to gambling.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll put the house on the table this time.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's definitely not what I'm encouraging, but
yeah, to my in-laws who I know listen to this once in a while, and my wife who might listen to it once in a while, I hope we'll have the house on July 10th. I hope we still have a nice home.
And you know what? You may have 2 homes. If you play your cards right, pun intended, you may have 2 homes.
And maybe I just buy one straight in Vegas.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You get the money, you just say, you know what? We're going to summer here. It's a couple degrees cooler than Phoenix.
Yeah, go cool down.
Yeah. It's only 116 today in Vegas.
I might wear socks today.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm excited, though. It'll be fun to be back in town and
Yelling at refs.
Yell at the refs. Yeah, good old Tommy and Mac. It'll be fun. So Summer League is great. We have talked about it ad nauseum on this show over the years. It's a lot of fun. But we're talking about summer. This is a nice segue into our non-sports section. Summer is here in the Valley. Officially summer, and the heat is picking up. We're really getting into it. So our non-sports question is, what do you enjoy about the summer? We've talked about what we dislike about it plenty, but what do you actually enjoy about it?
I will say in the summer, my ice cream intake goes way up, and I love ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I eat a lot of ice cream in the summer, or even like freeze pops or whatever, just anything, any frozen treat. I'm all about it.
Big time.
Yeah.
That is a great choice. Mine are actually pretty simple too, and I do have one food related one, so I'll start there. Watermelon.
Yes.
There's this thing, I just learned about this, and I actually had some today. It's called a candy watermelon, and I guess they're just grown in the US. And oh my gosh, they're so good. So yeah, we're fully into melon season, watermelon, and I actually had some really good honeydew about a week ago. I'm not typically a big honeydew guy, but this stuff was great. So yeah, big fan of watermelon. And then just swimming overall. I love being in the pool. My daughter has this little, she's almost 1 now, and she has a little baby like raft thing that she can like sit in, and it's got a little shade. We put her little hat on, and she likes being in the pool. She's always loved the bath, so I've been in the pool with her the last couple weekends, and really enjoying that, just as a summer activity that I always enjoyed before, but I now have a new appreciation of.
Yeah, I'll hop on that too. Pool swimming is excellent, and you know, this time of year is nice, and it's because the pool doesn't feel like a bathtub yet. It's still refreshing. So it's money time to swim. I have another one, but it's kind of weird.
Okay.
So I can use it's too hot for that excuse, and actually it actually like carries with people.
Yeah.
And as we're Northerners. I definitely get a little hotter than the average guy. So I'm very happy that I can use this excuse.
The too hot for that excuse. Yeah. That's good. I'm trying to think if I have anything along those lines. Yeah, I really don't know.
No, it's a good one though. I don't even feel bad about it either. I'll just say, no, it's way too hot for that. It's summer, man.
And that's the thing, everyone understands.
Yeah. Like, no, I don't want to go hike Camelback.
Right. Yeah, that's dangerous at this point.
Yeah, enjoy your vacation here, though.
That brings up a good point, though. Another thing I enjoy about the summer is it forces me to be more on top of my water intake. It is so good for you to be hydrated, and in the summer you just have to like double your water intake, if not more. And it's just noticeable. So I do like the fact that it makes me stay on top of my water intake.
Yeah, every once in a while I can tell I'm getting a little low on the hydration. Like if I open up a water or whatever and I just guzzle down about half of it, you're like, oh, I need to get on top of it. Then I'll probably just drink another water right after that, and I'm all good.
Right.
But it's like very easy to tell. Like, oh, I need more water.
And you know what I have been doing is I'll get one of those souvenir cups from a Suns game or D-backs or whatever. I've been just going with whatever sport is in season at the time.
Yeah.
And I measured, and those cups without ice hold about 24 ounces. And so if I drink one of those in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening, that's almost the amount of water I need. I need more kind of in between those times, but maybe like a glass or two in between. So I'm trying to drink 3 of those big boys a day.
Nice. Yeah, those I get those souvenir cups because they come in handy for other things.
Yes. Yeah. I have a whole collection of them. They're actually still in like a box that's in our pantry from when we moved. And so every once in a while I dig in there when I need just to mix it up a little bit.
That's right. Okay. Here we are talking about cups. It is time to end the show. We thank you for tuning in to another episode. Check us out on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod. Check out our YouTube, Sunny and PHX Podcast. We'll be continuing to put up the podcast on there as well. So we thank you for tuning in, and go Suns.